That text is from John chapter 1, verses 43 through 50. And I will read that to you now. John chapter 1, verses 43 through 50. This is when Jesus is beginning to call his disciples. And he's called a couple of them. And here it says, "The next day Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, 'Follow me.' Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and told him, 'We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.'" Nazareth? Can anything good come from there? Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you." Now, I sometimes wonder what Nathanael might have been plotting underneath that fig tree that he might not want people to know about, and Jesus said he saw him there. That's not in the text. I like to imagine that part. Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." And Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You will see greater things than that. Very truly I tell you, all of you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Nathanael asked, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Now, spoiler alert, we know how the story ends. We know that something very good had come out of Nazareth. Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus Christ, who was fully divine, was fully God, and yet, in one of the great mysteries of the Christian faith, also fully human. Now, I don't want to get down this road and be too up in my head on the theological side of things and the ivory tower and the academia. But this humanity of Jesus is important to the story, and it's important to us because it is something that each one of us shares with the very Son of God. In the fullness of our humanity, we share the fullness of Jesus' humanity. Each one of us bears that same humanity that Jesus bore. We are all, the scriptures tell us, icons, images of God, made in the image and the likeness of the Creator. Now hear this. It was the humanity of Jesus, not the divinity of Jesus, that caused Nathanael to be so dismissive of him. Do you think if Nathanael knew that Jesus was fully God, he would have said, "Nazareth? Has anything good ever come out of Nazareth?" He said that because he thought Jesus was only a human, as if being only a human was something to scoff at. Because he only knew Jesus as a man, he was quick to say, "Oh, you know about people who come from that place." Has anybody ever said that about the place you came from? Could anything good have come from there? They kind of curl up their lips and sneer their nose. Maybe you come from a poor rural community like I did. Maybe you come from the so-called wrong side of the tracks. Maybe you come from a neighborhood that the snow plows have forgotten, that the fire trucks don't reach in time, and where the police cars bring fear more than protection. Maybe you're a person who isn't regarded as smart enough, or beautiful enough, or straight enough, or able-bodied enough, or wealthy enough, or educated enough to be considered valuable enough to love, or to take care of, or to lift up, or to show the image of the Creator of the universe. Maybe you're someone who comes from, I don't know, Mexico, or El Salvador, or Haiti, or one of the nations of Africa. Now, you all know I've told you I don't get political in my pulpit. But I'm not in my pulpit. you may come from a place that causes the people of this world, some of them, to reject you or hate you. But I am here to tell you that wherever you came from, something good came from that place because it was you. Your neighbors may not think you're good enough. Your professors may not think you're good enough. Your parents may not think you're good enough. Senators may not think you're good enough. The judge and the jury may not think you're good enough. Whatever fool might happen to be in the White House at a given time might not think you are good enough.
Yes, sir.
I am embarrassed to say that even your church leaders sometimes might not think you're good enough. And God forgive us when we do. But I am here to tell you that you, each one of you, are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by the God of the universe who loves you and thinks you are wonderful. God thinks you are good enough to heal. God thinks you are good enough to serve. God thinks you are good enough that He would wash your feet. God thinks you are good enough that He would empty Himself of divinity and take on the form of human body and go to a humiliating death on the cross for you. The very humanity that people are so quick to dismiss is the same humanity that makes you a bearer of the image and likeness of God. And it's the same humanity that was taken on by Jesus Himself. The same humanity that Nathanael was so quick to cast aside. And so if society casts you aside, if the people who are supposed to love you cast you aside, if the people who are supposed to protect you cast you aside, remember that when you are cast aside by the people of this world, you stand in solidarity with Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And He stands in solidarity with you. This is what I think Dr. King's dream was trying to get us to understand. That the world would come to see each other the way that God already sees each one of us. That we might be judged on the content of our character rather than the color of our skin. And through His ministry and light, we have cast out some of the darkness in our country. We have cast light on some of the shadow that kept hidden the works of evil. Through His example, we have seen and received those of us who need it so much inspiration, and we have received those of us who need it so much conviction. By the way, don't whitewash Dr. King.
That's right. That's right.
When Pastor Simmons was preaching here, he would tell you a lot more about that. Tomorrow. We have received so much from the ministry of Dr. King, and yet there is so much work yet to be done. Sometimes you read the words or hear the sermons or the speeches that he gave, and you think, that is all a little bit too familiar still. Evil may so shape events, Dr. King wrote, that Caesar will occupy a palace and Christ a cross. But that same Christ will rise up and split history into AD and BC, so that even the life of Caesar must be dated by his name. And now the part that you might remember. Yes, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Some days, even now, all these years later, we sense the long bend of the universe, and not enough of the bend toward justice. We sense that the moral arc just stretches and stretches out, and it's not bending in the way we want, and it's not bending as fast as we want toward the justice that we so long to see. We could use a sharper bend toward justice today, couldn't we? There have been setbacks. There will be more setbacks. But we have a love that cannot be contained. We carry a light that will not be extinguished. We carry the revelation of the mysteries of God through Jesus Christ. This message of blessed love that brings us hope, that gives us cause to feel hope. Nathanael got it wrong at first, but he got it right in the end. Some of us got it wrong at first, and we need to repent and get it right in time for the end. Now, if we, like Nathanael, will respond to the revelation of God in the person of Jesus by casting aside our judgment, by crucifying our cynicism, by dismissing our second guessing, by refusing to exclude and segregate. If we will follow Jesus and if we will act in his way, then we will have harnessed the power of the universe. We will harness the power that can change everything. And we will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. Oh Lord, don't make us wait too long.